Okay, so tell me the story of the blindfold. I've seen it. I just have no idea what's the lore. What's the artwork?
Yeah, a lot of people have probably seen it. It's a bit random with like a platypus solving a cube. Back at Oceanic Championships 2022, so three, almost, I guess, about 4 years ago, um, there was staffing teams, and they were all like different Australian animals. I think there was like team, what was some Kookaburra, I think was the stream team, and I was on team platypus. And my dad, he does like shirt designs and things in this sort of like style, and so he made up like a bunch of artwork of like each of the different team mascots, sort of solving a cube, and I was in Team Platypus, and so I don't know why he decided, oh, let's put it on blindfold, that'll be cool. But
Yeah.
Dad was like, it would be cool to do some custom blindfolds, have like your thing, and it's nice and like distinctive, bright red, and like yeah, it's got the platypus on it, got a cube on it, ticks all the boxes, says Cheggins on it,
Yeah.
which is
What's
pretty
not to
cool. So
love?
yeah, been wearing it for a
Have you
while.
ever replaced it?
Yeah, so I think this is like my original custom one. There's some stuff that needs to be right with the blindfold, like the straps might need, like generally straps on blindfold are too short and like too tight to knot on. And also there's like different ways that you like it with like the padding in the front and these sorts of things. So there was probably multiple iterations of this blindfold with the same design, but since I got this one, it was like, yeah, this one's good. I hadn't even washed it for like a year and a half up until like a couple months ago. It was a bit gross. I made a video on that. It's like my second best performing short, which is pretty funny. I was like,
Yeah,
I
I've
have a
seen it.
confession. That was pretty funny. Um, but no, this is like the original one. So no, haven't replaced it actually, which is a bit gross. Maybe I should.
Man,
We'll
so
see.
the same platypus has been chilling on your forehead for how many years now?
Well, I think 3 years now, probably.
Man,
Same one. Hours. I wonder how many hours it's spent there, actually. How many solves I've done with it.
I
Probably
bet you
like
could figure that
20K.
out. You could probably take a guess at how long the platypus has been napping on your forehead.
Hmm. Well, yeah, if a solve on average takes like 30 seconds, and I've probably done like 20,000 solves with this blindfold on. So what, that's 10,000 minutes, which is a lot of hours. Someone can
Hmm.
do the maths. How many
Yeah,
hours
someone
that
can do the
is, how
math.
many days that is, how many years that is, how many
Yeah,
decades.
yeah, exactly. Um, why did you have a reason for getting into blindfolded specifically? Because you just did the math of assuming 30 seconds across all. Like that's obviously
Yeah,
faster than when you get into blindfolding. But
yeah,
um, I know very little about like your origin story, I guess, or
yeah. No,
why
that's
you
so good.
chose the events you did and stuff.
Yeah. So I guess I sort of got into blind in around COVID times. Um, I imagine probably some other blinders have the same sort of motivation. Is when JPerm learnt Blindfolded,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
the big YouTuber. I don't know. It feels like when he goes and learns an event and then he makes all the tutorials on it, then there's like a wave of people who come behind learning from those tutorials. And so, yeah, I was one of those. At the same time, my dad was learning 3x3 blindfolded. So I kind of knew what like the beginner method was just from like talking with him and stuff. But I decided to learn what's called a Roscoe, which is like
Mm-hmm.
a intermediate method. Generally, people use a method called Old Pochman or Old Pochman, something like that at the start. But I already kind of knew how it worked and didn't want to like get slow times with that. So I decided to, yeah, just learn a Roscoe from JPEM's tutorials. And then soon after, I learned three style, which is the most like advanced method, really. That is like way faster. You can average like 18 seconds with three style. And then from there, it's just like a time game of how much time you want to spend doing solves and getting comfortable with that. Cause that's, yeah, quick.
Yeah.
And I, yeah, quickly got to a point where I was like racing JPerm in his videos. Like I'd pull up his like average of 5 in the Q&A or whatever, and then I'd be like going when he goes and racing him. And so yeah,
That's
around
super
COVID
cool.
times,
That's super cool. So you skipped OP and you went straight to Orozco?
I knew how it worked. I just like didn't spend time trying to get a first success with it. I mean, I
Ah,
probably should, and
okay.
I like recommend that people do now because yeah, I think I took like 20, 25 tries. I could look back in my CS timer, I think, to like my first session, and then my first success was like 5 minutes with Orozco anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, I recommend starting with just the beginner method and then making decisions from there based on how fast you want to get in the end. But yeah, that's not what I did. Do as I say, not
Yeah.
as I do.
That's fine. I mean, the get faster than JPerm thing is so real. That's my big Q's
Yeah.
goal right now is I want sub
Whoa.
JPerm for 4 through 7. And it's
Oh
like
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I'm I'm close enough now where it's
He's
like I
quick.
feel like I could get there.
Yeah.
But that's so fun that you watch JPerm. I love pulling up the video and racing his video. That's super cool.
Yeah, and it's like the same solves every time. Like, I know that he's gonna DNF before the solve even begins because I've raced him so many times. But yeah, I don't know. That's what you do when you're like 11 or 12 years old, or however,
Yeah, that's awesome.
or 13.
Um, Wait, how old were you when you learned three style again?
I think I was 12. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Like 4 years
So
ago, maybe a bit more.
yeah, your video about how you learned three style is one of my favorite cubing videos because you were so clear about like your thinking behind how you practiced.
Mm.
Um, Most 12-year-olds don't think like that. Was that all you? Was that parents helping you? How did you come up with that kind of systematic plan for doing it? And was that totally just, I want to learn this, I'm going to self-drive it? Or was somebody else like helping you through it or pushing you through it?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to just, I don't know, this mentality that I have when I enjoy something and get into it, that I just really want to do it all the time, become the
Hmm.
best at it, know everything there is. So there was kind of like a drive, which even though I was 12 years old, even if you're 12 years old, no matter what age you are, if you like really want to do something, even if it's big, like learning three style, then and like getting faster at blind or whatever it is, then like I don't know. I just kind of worked out a way to get there, which I think works generally for people is learn as much as you can as fast as possible. Well, not as much as you can, but everything that you need to get to the speed that you want to be, because then you can just grind solves, do like your targeted drills after that, which is like, yeah, best for improving. And that's how I learned three style, just trying to learn as fast as possible, like with other things that I enjoy, just trying to learn everything as fast as possible and then practice after that. Because I don't know, if you do this like kind of bit of both, then it's kind of the worst of both worlds a little bit and you don't get as fast. I'm sure you know, like trying to learn ZB and all those big ALK sets, you want to get it in fast so that you can get practicing it sooner.
Hmm.
Like, yeah.
So that was all, it was all you. It was just like, well, this makes sense to me, so I'm just going to go for it.
A little bit of like learning from JPerm's videos as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
Obviously, one other thing that happened was I got coaching from Jack Kai. I got like
Cool.
one coaching session. He had a sale, and my parents were like, well, we'll get it for you." I think it was like 30 Australian dollars or something. Within there, like, we'll do this something nice for you, which I was very thankful for. So I had a session with him, and that was again really motivating on when I was trying to learn three styles. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's
Thanks to
super
him.
awesome.
Jack Guy's awesome.
So at this point, um, I know you'll be humble about it, but why are you so good at three blind? Like, are there unique attributes? I'm a noob. I know old Pachman. I
Yeah.
can get successes. I'm very slow. So to an uneducated person like me, what
Mm.
is it about you that makes you as fast as you are? Is it purely I've put the hours in? Is it I learned the methods and did that? Is there something about how you
Yeah.
solve? Because like your rate of progression has also been really, really fast. Do you
Yeah, sure.
have reasoning as to why?
Okay. I guess there's sort of two ways that I can go with this. One of them is compared with other blindfolded solvers where I like find that time. And the other one is, yeah, more in terms of improvement and how I improved quick. I think a lot of it does come down to that drive, like just wanting to get really good at things. Like even when I was, I don't know, 8 years old, 7 years old, I was like watching stars and planet documentaries with like my granddad, like just sitting there at 7 years old, like eating out of a little dinosaur plastic bowl, just like eating up information about cool things that I enjoyed. And I guess carrying that over to Blindfolded allowed me to improve really quick when I was like, yeah, 12 years old. I think going from like 45 seconds to like the OCR of 17 seconds in like half a year or like under a year. I think it is that, yeah, that drive and also that idea of just learning really fast and then practicing
Hmm.
is what, yeah, really worked for me. to be fair, it might not work for like some people because it can be a bit demotivating. But when it worked for me because I did have that like drive and like I want to get really good at this. And yeah, on the other side of it, I guess can what makes me fast compared with other blindfolded solvers, I think my turning isn't that fast. Like if you watch Tommy solve, his turning is just like unreal. Like it looks not possible. Probably similar to like in 3x3 watching Yiheng or even like Ruhang turn. It just looks unbelievable. I don't think my turning really looks like that, but it's just smooth, like just decent turning. My execution's not crazy. But then in memo, I think I've found like I've done a lot a lot of three blind solves to the point where now I can like take shortcuts and just like work things out in my head during execution and like cut all the corners possible to get like low 5 second memorization when maybe if you're doing it more linearly, like someone who's practiced a little bit less, done like a couple thousand less solves, then I think it saves like yeah, quite a bit of time.
Um, dang, I had a question about that and it just totally ran away
All
from
good.
me.
I just
I hate
information
that.
dumped. Sorry.
You're
Going all over the
Oh, yeah,
place.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So when you were at 12, 13, and you keep using
Yeah.
this word drive, what does that actually translate to?
Okay.
How many hours of actually at your desk are you solving in a day? And what kind of practice are you doing not in focused, this is the grind session?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit hard to remember in those days when I was like practicing a whole ton when I was in like grade 7. No schoolwork to do, no like YouTube to work on, just solving. Ah, let me think. Hmm. I honestly can't remember much of when I was learning three style or floating. I could probably pull up like the Discord messages I had with friends and things, but I mean, it would have had to have been like a couple hours a day, like not a very small amount. Whereas I guess now in at least the lead up to Worlds, that was like my peak grinding over the last 2 years, the most solves I'd done a day, and that was like an hour a day probably in the lead up to Worlds. But that is like that was enough for me to improve, especially when practicing specifically to try and improve like properly, pushing my memo. Because yeah, in blindfolded solving, you can kind of go safe with your memorization and just like not improve that much, but just get
Hmm.
successes and get the times. But what I do like almost always when I'm practicing at home is just memorizing so fast it feels impossible. And then you'll DNF more, but over time you'll get faster and faster. And
Hmm.
yeah, maybe that's part of what's contributed to why my memo is faster than a lot of other people's. But yeah. So probably less practice than I would prefer now. But in those early days when I was improving a lot, and like just learning things and then practicing heaps of them and then learning more, practicing heaps, probably like, yeah, hours and hours a day.
Yeah, less practice than you would prefer now, but it took a lot of practice to build up the core skills that now you can kind of
Yes.
like just refine.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Okay.
yeah, if I was learning three style now on an hour a day, it would take like much longer than on like whatever 3, 4, 5 hours a day I might have been spending then. And
Hmm.
then I could get to solving sooner and like just grinding. And then once you're solving, especially with three style, your improvement can come so quick. Cause like three style is so efficient. It's just when everything starts to click, you drop so fast. And then that is like super fun and motivating as well.
Mm. Yeah. How do you think about the how as your brain gets tired, practice gets less useful? So if you solve for an hour and your brain is fully engaged, the whole hour is useful. Versus if you grind for like 3, maybe your brain gets tired at the end and you start to default to bad habits. Um,
Yeah.
I'm like starting to think about this with my practice because I'm like undoing and inserting a lot of new habits into solves. But I'm very, very mid at everything that I do. I'm curious if you've thought about that idea at all.
Yeah, I mean, often I don't do like 3 hour long sessions, but I mean, yeah, at the back of like a 1, maybe 2 hour three blind session, it is quite tiring. One thing I've somewhat thought about is that in three blind, it might be slightly advantageous to practice at this like, I'm super tired, my brain's not working anymore. Because in a competition, it might be like 5 p.m. at the end of the day that you have a round and you just need to like be ready for it to solve and get successes no matter what. So even if I am like solving not great or like I'm tired at the end of a session, I still try and like push through and almost take that as like a different kind of practice. Maybe like if you're I don't know, like a runner, they might do some like faster sprints, or they might do some like medium sessions, or they might just do some like long runs. And so yeah, sometimes I think when I am tired, it can be good to like go for a long run, I suppose, in blindfolded solving to, yeah, if you are tired at the end of the day. But I mean, yes, often I do try and I find myself like drifting maybe after like 50 solves or so, and I have to try and bring it back and practice intentionally and yeah, do what you're saying about making sure each solve doesn't just go to waste and get bad habits again. Just trying to like, yeah, memo faster than I think I can. And
Yeah.
sometimes it works.
Okay. I like what you said about having like athletes will train short burst, medium
Yeah.
length, and long, and they're used for different things. I
Yeah.
had not thought about that for cubing, but you're so right that I should intentionally plan on some sessions that are really short and be like, I'm going to go
Yeah.
20 solves and they are all going to be
And they're
insane.
all going to be
And
great.
then
Yeah.
I'm going to do like a 200 solve session and just plan on being slow and try to
Well,
get my like grindy brain out. Well, like plan on being half a second worse, right? Like
yeah.
accept that I'm going to get tired by the end of it. And it's okay if it's not
Yeah.
a PB average of 100 or whatever.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because I mean,
That's cool.
I don't know, maybe you don't experience it, but at least I find it hard to stay focused and like actually solving good for like solves and solves. Like, funnily enough, even in blindfolded solving, even though it is very like in your brain, you have stories going in your brain, I literally find myself like mid solve, I forgot the memorization and I'm thinking about something entirely different
Oh, yeah.
sometimes,
Yeah.
which is like, then I'm okay, no, this isn't good enough. I look at my DNF streak and I've just like no brain 10 DNF'd like in a row. And so then it's, yeah, I got to bring this back. So yeah, maybe it is helpful to do some of that. These solves are going to be good. These solves, I'm just going to practice like doing lots of solves.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, Something I'm curious about with you is you're ranked just outside the top 100 on 3x3 cited.
Interesting.
How
I didn't
do
know.
you compare your skill at 3x3 versus 3 blind? Obviously,
Ooh.
you're ranked one in 3 blind,
Yeah.
but the competition at the top of 3x3 is very, very intense.
Yeah. Way more than three blind.
Yeah. Like, how do you
Oh,
compare how many hours you've put into 3 blind, how good you are at it as like the world champion, world record holder, versus your skill at cited 3x3 and how much work you've put into
yeah.
that?
Okay, that's a great question. I haven't thought about this much. Hmm. If I had to guess, I think I would probably be like mid 5 second average on 3x3. If I put all the effort, all the time, all of like, I don't know, maybe some natural skill from three blind converted into 3x3, which would, I mean, what would that put me? Like 30th in the world, 20th in the world?
So on top
Maybe
of what you have done with 3x3, like if you took all the 3 blind practice,
on top.
dumped it
Oh,
on top of everything
okay.
you've already done, is that what you just said?
Well, that I was thinking like instead, like
Oh,
if I,
that's what I was asking. If you could
okay,
convert the
yeah.
effort of one into the other. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I think it would be like 5.5 maybe. Although I'm not very experienced in 3x3, obviously, compared with the people who actually are there. I haven't really spoken with many of the people in that realm to know what they went through to get there, I guess. So maybe it's not a fair comparison. But that would be my guess, like mid five, which
Okay.
would be what, 30th in the world, something like that.
So you do think you're more skilled at 3 blind. Like you've put more effort, time, focus into 3 blind than normal 3x3.
Oh, totally. Like the last 2 years in 3x3, I have not done a whole lot of practice outside of just solving when I have a 3x3 in my hand, like on a road trip or at a comp in warm up or whatever. Like at home, I'll rarely sit and do like a targeted 3x3 practice session the same way that I would for three blind. It's probably like a 1 to 50 ratio or something like that, at least for the last few years.
Okay. Huh.
But I mean, I've obviously still practiced quite a bit to get to like seven flat. average global, probably maybe just sub 7 if I'm really trying. But I guess a lot of that is I just like go to a lot of comps and like cube a lot at those comps and cube a lot like on the train, in the car, whatever, which would usually be 3x3 then. So yeah.
Okay. I've asked a few other people that same question about,
Mm,
respective main event versus. I asked Dominic Radici, I asked Daniel Partridge, and both of them, like as number 2 in the world for Scube for Dom, and then Daniel was
yeah.
at number 2 for Pira. They both said they think
Yeah.
they're better at 3x3 than their respective main
Really?
event by amount of effort they put into the event. But
Mm. Well,
the
Dom's
side
quick
event,
at 3x3.
yeah, he's
He's
like
like sub
high
6.
five officially, yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe. Well, he's actually like been there and done it, so maybe I am closer to that like high 5 then. Maybe I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but it is interesting to me that you just said if I did all the extra work that I put into 3 blind, I would advance like halfway up the
Not
top
that much.
100.
Yeah.
The
I
just shows how
3x3. Those people are
crazy the
crazy,
top
man.
level is. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
the more I'm doing work on various events, I set the rand. I just decided like if I'm gonna start making these videos, I'm gonna like put up this goal if I want to get to finals in XYZ. The more work I
Yeah.
do, the more I'm questioning, is 3x3 even possible? The big cubes, I'm pretty sure I can pull it off, but 3x3 is just, it's a completely different universe from all the other
Yeah.
ones.
It is crazy, like just how far ahead it is of like every other event in terms of the amount of time and effort that people, like the average person, invests into it. Like it's very, it's like everyone puts in at least quite a lot of effort in three
hmm
by three. Even if they don't put in a lot, they put in quite a lot. Yeah.
I understand what you said there, even if the words didn't make sense. I get it.
Yeah. Whoopsies.
Huh. Oh, you're good. You're good. You're good. Um, did you ever get competition nerves? Or, because I don't feel like I've ever heard of a major fail from you. Like, there have been, like, you obviously had to do work to get to your records and to get your major
Yeah.
championship wins, but I don't
Yeah.
ever remember some sort of giant choke. And in an event as
Yeah.
like limited opportunity as 3 blind, that seems like you must be pretty good at handling nerves, or you don't get super nervous.
I mean, yeah, I think I get nervous. Maybe not like so much that it becomes impossible for me to solve or think or anything. But especially before like Worlds, I mean, it might not have shown it in the results because I ended up doing pretty good somehow. But I was very nervous, like feeling not great in the
Pretty good,
stomach,
he
like
says. I
before
did
Souls.
pretty good at Worlds.
Yeah, quite good. Better than I was expecting and better than I could have hoped for, I guess. So yeah, still, Tommy did like world record mean in Worlds finals the Worlds before that. So still not that good. But yeah, I think I still do get nervous, but maybe not as much as some other people. I have been in like a lot of majors and stuff now, all the way back from like 2022. I've had at least like Nats each year, Oceanics every second year, Worlds. I went to North American Championships, so have had quite a lot of high pressure situations. And I guess the biggest thing is that I realized that each of those situations isn't like the be all and end all. Like even a world championships, which only comes around every 2 years, or we hadn't had one for like a while before 2023, 4 years. It's not the end of the world. Like it may seem like it in the moment, which can make you extra nervous. But I guess just telling myself that there are things that are more important, like family, faith, other things, health, all these sorts of things that are more important than how fast I solve this cube, even though it is very, very fun to do well, and I try and do well. But at the end of the day, if I try too hard to do well and put every single thing I have into it, then that won't end well anyway. So
Yeah, you genuinely don't feel pressure because you can actually say this
yeah,
world championship is not that important compared to XYZ.
yeah, it's
Hmm,
like important, and it would be nice, but the world goes on if I don't win. The same way it goes on if I do win. Like, yeah. It's still a
that is
very,
so
very
cool.
fun moment, exciting moment, but yeah, it's important to keep it in perspective a little bit.
Yeah, that's such a mature outlook. I don't. It's so cool. I don't think you realize how uncommon it is for a 12-year-old to break down a giant problem like three style and attack it as focused as you did, or to have that sort of outlook on like, well, I'm competing for a world title in an event that thousands and thousands of people around the world would love to have, but it doesn't really matter that much. Like you, it, that's really, really good. That's really, really good.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
so,
I'm
yeah.
thankful for the people around me, I guess, that have helped with that and like the experiences that I've gone through. Like just missing the podium at Worlds 2023 was
Mm-hmm.
definitely a good learning lesson going into 2025. And then it ended up going good because of what happened in 2023, almost taking off some of that pressure. So yeah,
Hmm.
just thankful for how everything's worked out and the people around me that have been very wise and helpful.
I'm curious to hear a little bit about your parents or your family, if you're okay with that.
Yeah,
A few of your videos, you mentioned your dad,
yeah,
helping you build some practice this or talk about some idea.
yeah.
Um, how have they been involved in cubing? What's your relationship like with them?
Yeah, my parents are great. I have two siblings as well, two other siblings, and yeah, they're very supportive. My parents, they're great, very supportive. From here's a story. I think 2022 Australian Nationals, it was like across the country in Perth, which is like a, I don't know, 5, 6 hour flight, something like that. And it was gonna cost like quite a bit of money to go there. And my parents were like, look, we're not gonna pay for you to go, but they helped me fundraise. Like we went to stalls, we sold off some cubes that we had lying
Let's
around.
go.
We did all sorts of things. Like if I can solve this cube in under 10 seconds, you know how it is. So
Hmm.
they've been very supportive of that. Also, as cubing, as my cubing has become more like working with Rubik's, Cubicle, these like companies and things, they've been very helpful with navigating all that. Also, just being there at competitions. Like after I won World Champions, like I think one of the last people that I would have spoken to before Worlds, after doing my warm up and going up to the finals, would have been my parents who were, yeah, sitting there in the front row watching. And then the first person I spoke to after was dad. When I was like running, I ran around the back crying, and dad came and found me, and that was fun. So yeah, my parents have been super supportive, which has been such a blessing.
Hmm. That's awesome. Totally awesome. Are there any things or bits that they've influenced in how you practice?
Oh, let me have a think. Hmm. That's a good question, actually. I mean, there was that. It's called Eager Judge, which my dad made a little bit with my brother. That's like this 3D printed arm thing that
I've
came
seen
out,
it. I love it.
kind of like this, and it flips out a piece of paper at whatever time you want, which basically means for blindfolded solving, you can like start the timer, and then after you've been memorizing for a certain amount of time, it just flicks around, and you don't have any choice but to have memorized the cube. So that gets you hurrying, and I haven't practiced with that all that much because it's a bit it's a bit difficult to get out and clip onto my table to be completely honest. But I did do some practice with that before a competition. I forgot what the name of the competition was, but I had been practicing with 5 seconds of memorization, and then like in at that competition, I think in the finals, I had to solve with exactly like 5 second memo flat, which was very good for that scramble. So that's one moment that comes to mind of them helping out with my practice. And I guess the other one is just being encouraging. Like sometimes when I don't know, they're not like forcing me to cube or anything. Definitely not. And that's also something is just being like relaxed with it a little bit, the same way that sometimes I don't want to cube. Sometimes I want to like do schoolwork or need to do schoolwork instead. And so they've been very good in helping get my priorities right as well.
That's awesome. I wanted to highlight that just because it's really cool hearing you talk about the practice and the work you do, but
Yeah.
like a giant part of all the opportunities you get, it comes down to the family as well.
Yeah, your managers,
Hmm.
personal managers there.
Yep. Yep.
Managers, encourages, support team, all of the above.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
What did it feel like when you broke the first world record? The reaction video is kind of legendary, but was
Yeah.
that something that you were intentionally working toward? Was it expected when you broke the first one?
No, not at all. I think that's almost what made it. almost what made it possible. Like that solve was
Mm,
almost flawless at the time. I didn't have. I was like much slower than Tommy. I would rarely get the 12.10 at home, and I just happened to get a good scramble and not have the thoughts flood in of like, oh, this could be world record. This could be world record. That is not good for the solve at all. That happened a few times in the years following that. But yeah, I think I wasn't expecting it at all, and that helped a lot. I was just trying to solve the fastest I could on whatever scramble came, and then a good scramble came, and I solved the fastest I could on it. And I was so shocked that it was world record. I mean, as you said, the reaction video, I'm like, yeah, with like my neck all like, it was yeah, pretty exciting, surprising, joyful, all of the above.
now, I should have researched this, but have you lost the single record since then?
Yeah, I think maybe 6 months after, Tommy beat it to 12.00, which, yeah, I mean, that's good. His solve was like just an amazing solve to beat it. It's honestly like, yeah, probably a better quality solve than even my most recent world record as well, which was faster again. But yeah, Tommy is just a machine and he pulled out like a crazy good solve to beat it. So yeah, can't complain. Although
Okay.
he did beat it before the like, I don't know, threshold where it gets into like the Guinness World Record books that they print each year.
Oh man.
So like my goal is to try and get into like one of the Guinness World Record books. That'd be cool. But I need to like have the record at the right time of year.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Okay. Huh. That is a really cool goal. Do you know when that is? Like
Yeah.
when is the you have to be the person in order to make it into the print?
Well, I think I broke that record in October and I held it for 6 months from there. So that goes to like April or March or something, and I didn't get it. So I don't know when in the rest of the year it is, but
Okay.
somewhere around there. But I mean, Tommy can have it if he wants again.
That's awesome. Something else was I with all the stuff that you do with intentional practicing and removing habits and whatever, is there any particular bad habit you developed where you just remember this one was so hard? Like there was some wall, that maybe it was a time
Yeah.
barrier where it was like this habit was keeping me stuck, or just what was something that was especially hard for you to fix or change about your solving?
Mm. Hmm. I guess probably a big thing was that for a long while, like even down to when I averaged 17 or so, I was just pausing in between every single algorithm that I did in in execution, which is by the end of the solve that adds up to like a second, and also you're like more likely to lock up if you're doing every algorithm just like from a standstill, um, as fast as you can. And I think I got a little bit of coaching, a little bit of like help from Elliot Kobolansky. So credit to him for like pointing that out, noticing that, and helping me fix it. And I guess the way that I fixed it was by doing some solves that I was executing slower, but thinking ahead. Like in blindfolded solving, you might not be familiar with it, but there's a thing called think ahead, which is like look ahead, but you're thinking ahead to the memo that you are going to need to do the algorithms for after the one that you're currently doing. So it's like the equivalent of look ahead. And that's
Hmm.
a skill that blinders have to develop as well. And I got down to like, yeah, 17, 18 seconds without that great think ahead. So that was probably the biggest thing that I had to work on to get my execution down to, I guess, closer to where it is now.
Hmm. Look ahead is frustrating for everybody, not just 3x3 people.
Yeah, even if you don't have eyes to look.
Yeah, even if the platypus does looking for you.
Yes, exactly. Although he has a blindfold on as well.
Yeah,
There
he's
is
probably
a
looking
version of
under
the
it.
blindfold. Yeah, there is a version of the blindfold that has another one of these Cheggins blindfolds on that blindfold. And like, so it's infinite, like Cheggins
That's
blindfolds, which is
hilarious.
pretty funny.
That
My
is
dad's a
absolutely
genius.
hilarious. Dude, if I if
Yeah.
I, I if I ever start practicing blind, I might need one of the infinite loop Cheggins blindfolds. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it is
Um
cool.
when did you decide to start doing YouTube? And when did you decide to start doing YouTube well? Were
Yeah.
those different or were those the same, and why?
I think even from the beginning, I had like I'm gonna be a cubing YouTuber, or like maybe not that I'm gonna be a cubing YouTuber, like a JPerm or a Cubehead with like a million, although Cubehead was a bit smaller back then, I think. It was, I don't know, I just was like every new cuber, like young kid, just uploads videos and gives it a crack, it feels like. And so that was like just the thing that I was gonna do even from before I was quick, like, well, maybe when I averaged 10 seconds on 3x3 or something like that, I made a video. You can go back. It's the like third oldest video on my channel or something. That's like lubricating speed cubes using sauce, like condiments, like tomato sauce and stuff. And it is just like it's a funky video. If you watch it, I'm sorry. Your ears will die, your eyeballs will scream. But that's where I began. And then I made it like a few more videos after that. But then yeah, I went into like a okay, I'm just gonna get good at three blind now. And then once I started sort of getting good souls, it kind of switched back to this like, oh, I'm gonna make videos again. That's what like where Cube is. So we try and make cubing videos, we try and make competition vlogs, we try and make cube unboxings. And then I think when I got sponsored by Daily Puzzles, that's when there was a bit of like a okay, let's take this a bit more seriously. Started watching a bit more of like the YouTube videos of how to make good YouTube videos and those sorts of things. And then I made that video about my blindfolded solving journey. And then I guess that sort of kicked off. I still wasn't very consistent at making videos. To be fair, I'm still not that consistent now. But from there, I was more of like a okay, now I'm a fast cuber and a YouTuber to an extent. So
Mhm.
yeah, probably around when I got sponsored by Daily Puzzles and made that story video thing.
Yeah. The story videos are really cool because I don't not very many other cubers make them, and it's like my favorite genre of cubing video. My favorite JPerm videos are the ones where he talks about his improvement at 5x5. He has like this 10 video
Yeah,
series of like, here's what I did this week, and here's this trick I learned. And I thought like those are my absolute favorites. And yours are the
yeah,
closest thing that we still have to that, which as you're improving, they're becoming like my favorite things on cubing YouTube, at least for me. The story
yeah,
driven stuff that you make are my absolute favorite things
yeah.
because it's so
Well, now you're
cool.
making videos like that as well.
Well, they're much different from yours, but maybe a little bit
Yeah.
like that. But when did you start trying I guess the first story format would be the blindfolded journey one.
Yeah. I think that would probably be the first story one. But I mean, yeah, in a lot of videos you try and tell some sort of a story, even if it's like what other videos did I make? I was trying to do a video that was like testing illegal Rubik's cubes, like testing out different cubes that are banned at competition. So even though it might be like just this one, then this one, then this one, then this one, each time I was trying to beat the state record holder in my state who had taken my record. So there was like this story of me trying to beat the state record holder because he beat mine. And like as the video goes on, I'll realize that hey, cheating's not worth it. So there's like yeah, one thing that people do talk about in making videos is that there has to be some sort of like story going through it, or like in the videos that you make where it's like this week this happened, or like this is what I'm doing to do this. There's like an inherent built-in like starting point and ending point, like emotionally or just in your speed, which people inherently like want when they click on a video. You know,
Hmm.
they want to be like changed or taken on a ride a little bit. And I guess the story videos that I make that are like my practice for the world championships, or like that video I made way back, just like the whole video is that you don't really need to try to do it at all, really. It just kind of is that style of video, which makes it really helpful and yeah, a nice video to watch.
Yeah, cool. It just kind of like formed as you learn more about how YouTube works and just
Yeah,
develop the style.
yeah, definitely.
Hmm, cool. I have lots of other things I could ask you, but I feel like I've been like slamming you with questions and you can't even breathe. Are
No,
there
that's
any things
okay.
that you wanna talk about, so that I don't just keep
Ooh,
running everything myself?
I guess a question. I have a question for you. That's like, what do you see cubing as in like the, I guess, near future? Like, do you think that these cubing leagues outside of the WCA are gonna gain more traction and like become the new future? Or like, what do you think, especially in terms of the competing aspects? Because I mean, I'm not a 3x3 main, so it might not affect me as much. But as like a top cuber, I'm interested to know what you think will be like the situation with the top cubers competing
Mhm.
for at these sorts of competitions over the next little while.
There are 2 things that make me unsure. Like,
Okay.
there's multiple alternate realities.
Yeah.
Thing 1 I'm unsure about is this new guy who the WCA has hired as their director.
Mhm.
What that guy does with the WCA will dictate a ton of how third-party leagues will or won't be able to grow. If he takes the WCA in the direction of, like, doing alternate formats themselves and trying to, like, maintain the grassroots thing, those other leagues probably kind of have no hope. If he takes the WCA further in the direction of being the governing body that kind of like lends its rule set out to other competitive groups, then they have what they need to grow. They have
Mm.
the fundamentals are
Okay.
there. So what I think would be cool, what I would like to see is where the WCA is like the record keeper, they have the database, but you can get into the database via WCA official comp, via a
Mm.
PSL match, via a Monkey League match, whatever, right? Like whatever these different
Yeah.
formats are, as long as you meet the regulations, this is already basically happening, but with exclusive leagues and more competitive formats that are more interesting to watch, it would kind of
Yeah.
need to
Okay.
evolve a little bit for that to work. Um,
Yeah.
the other thing is, I
Interesting.
think to make a competitive format that's league based, you need seasonal rankings. You can't have like all time
Okay.
be the primary ranking. Like in pretty much any physical sport, it
True that.
resets every year, right? And you
Yeah.
have to get results this year. And
Yeah.
the WCA doesn't really do anything like that very officially. So there's a bunch of little things
Wow.
like that.
That would be
That's all
crazy.
foundational. That's all
It's
foundational,
cubing
right?
season. Would cubing be
Exactly.
a summer or a winter sport?
I don't think it needs to
Or like
be
just full year through?
I don't think it needs to be that. I think there's just a point where everything refreshes and the
Yeah. Yeah.
leaderboard
Okay.
restarts. And based on your placements at championships, you get a certain number of points. And then
Okay.
at a
Yeah.
certain point, the people who are leading the leaderboards get invited to a championship, whatever, or like a higher tier of
Yeah.
competition. And then you have an
Okay.
invitational with those people. Like,
Uh,
that way you
like
can
other
preserve the
sports.
grassroots, but also a higher level thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of what most sports end up as. But
Yeah.
that's just kind of ingredients. That's like putting everything in the bowl and letting it sit there. To make
Mm.
it work, what really needs to happen is we need to have broadcasts and content about competitive cubing that are really, 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 really good. Right
Yeah.
now we have the concept of broadcasts being good, but we don't have like, wow, this is sweet. And I can sit down with like people who are not interested in cubing, find the broadcast organically and are still going to watch it. Like the
Oh yeah. Yeah.
sports that are cool, it's like, whoa, there's a basketball video on the side of the YouTube timeline. I'm going to click it, even though I don't know the teams in it. And then I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
And I was interested in it. Like, we're not
Mm.
quite there with cubing yet. The broadcasts are like still sharpening the technical details, still learning how to be really world class announcers, still learning how to advertise. And that's fine because the people who
Yeah.
do broadcasting are new. But if the broadcasts get a little more watchable, and the rules for competition are formed, then you can add money into the mix. And if there's no money, cubing stays as it is now. And I love cubing as it is now. But
Yeah.
if the broadcasts are good enough that people are watching them, and the competitive format is good enough that you can make a cool event that cubers want to participate in, someone
Mm.
would be willing to sponsor the whole thing. It's just not ready for that yet. As
Yeah.
soon as that starts to happen, you have like a flywheel. You have good events with broadcasts being paid money, which
Yeah.
incentivizes more good events and a better broadcast, which means more people want to just the engine hasn't started turning yet. And we don't know if
Yeah.
it will until we see what the WCA is going to do. We see where the broadcasts are going to go, and we see if somebody can convince somebody to invest money into the community.
Yeah, okay. One question I have about that for you then is, do you think it will, like, queuing will become more and more of like a 3x3 only? Or do you think that in those like high level, high money, like center of attention events, do you think there will be other events? Like, there might not be like 7x7, but do you think there will be, I don't know, blindfolded or 4x4 or these sort of like still pretty spectator friendly events? What
Hmm.
do you think?
Um, I hope so. It just depends on what people want to watch. My guess
That's fair.
is it will be all the 3x3 adjacent events. So blind, three, one-handed
Mm,
are shoe-ins, and then
yeah,
maybe like 4x4 or something like that. Because the reason a broadcast would work is it is recognizable to a lot of people.
yeah,
So
yeah,
um, the Rubik's Cube is an unbelievably recognizable thing.
yeah,
And that just makes it the easy. It's also, like we've talked about already, it's the one that most people are invested into. It's the one that most people are somewhat familiar with. So
yeah.
3x3 will always be the heart, and the closest things to that will be what people want to watch. In
Mm,
something like chess has different time controls, really slow, really fast, and the most respected one is the really slow one. But all the time controls are still played. Super fast, medium speed, really slow, and the skill kind
mm,
of transfers. It's not a perfect analogy, but the more hardcore you are at chess, the more you watch the faster stuff. And the casual stuff
yeah.
is a given, but you get more interested in this stuff. So with cubing,
That's a
I
good
don't
point.
know how big the hardcore audience will be, but the further away you get from 3x3, now we're in 4x4. Now we're in square one. What is this? Like, the further away you get from a normal 3x3, the more hardcore you have to be to watch it, which naturally means people who watch will be smaller, which means broadcasters will be less likely to do it, which means organizers will be less likely to do it, which means advertisers don't want to put their ad dollars
Mm,
into it, et cetera, et cetera. So I hope
yeah,
that things stay wide because I love all the diversity of events,
yeah.
but I don't know.
I guess this is partly where the WCA do a good job in terms of having that like diversity of events and like yeah, the situation that well, I don't know about this. I guess the situation that they're in is like uh okay with and like good with just having a lot of events that a lot of people can compete in and have
Hmm.
fun competing in,
Hmm.
practicing in. So I guess that's like definitely a good thing about how the WCA does it right now. At least,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good thing about it.
I mean, it's starting to get a little bit less. Everybody can do it. I don't know if you looked at the cutoff times for North American championships, but a lot of them are
Yeah,
pretty steep. And that's because, like, at a championship, you have to be able to do all those events and still get through everybody.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm fine with that. One personal thing I think would be really cool is if we had a wild card event that rotates every year. So if we had seasonal
Oh,
cubing, so right now our
yeah,
cubing season is kind of like 2-year cycles because of the World Championship. But
yeah.
like, I think it'd be really cool if like every World Championship they like bring out the red envelope, and it's like, so for the next 2 years, our wild card event will be face turning octahedron, and now we have two
Oh,
years
yeah.
where FTO
That
is
would
an
be
official
cool.
event, and then we have the World
Yeah,
Championship for FTO, and then like, and the next one's going to be, and then we open it up, and it's like, all right, so now for 2 years we're gonna have this, and
that
we
would
have a
be cool.
rotating category. I've seen other competitive
Yeah.
disciplines that do that. I know there's regulatory problems with that. There's hosting competitions and organizing it and availability of hardware. Like there's a bazillion practical ways that won't work. But I think that'd be
That would
fun.
be, yeah. It gets to the end of the season, and any like company with any stock of that product, just like it's over for them.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
But I think that'd be really, really cool.
that would be cool. Would you find yourself practicing those events? Do you think, or do you think it would depend on whether it was like just a puzzle that you enjoyed? Like how, I guess, willing are you to stray into non like NBNs or non typical puzzles
Oh, dude, I
with
would
like
I would stray
target
into it for
practice?
sure. For sure, for sure.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
I can do all the WCA events. I just choose not
Mm.
to compete in all of them because going into a
Yeah.
competition, I think it's although that's also not true. The competition next weekend I'm doing clock and square one, and like my clock is 10 seconds and my square one is I don't know. I did like 5 solves the other day. I was averaging like 20. I'm just doing it for the funny because it's like fun to
It is
compete in
fun.
everything.
It is fun.
Um
Yeah.
but I would totally learn it. The cool thing about an event like that is the playing field is leveled. Like when it starts,
Yeah.
there'll be a few hardcore people on the one speed solving form who've all developed a method
Mm.
for it and will be like 5 seconds faster than everyone else. And then the field will completely level in like a week. And the whole community gets their energy
Yeah.
behind this one new thing. So I
Yeah.
would
That
totally
would
be
be
on the
cool.
bandwagon. And it'd be cool because
Mm.
it'd feel like, oh, the top is like within my grasp. We're all doing this
Yeah.
together.
And then after a while, you just have like a certain group of people who are just actually crazy good people, like spending 14 hours a day and just crazy natural talent. And then everyone goes, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is why it rotates after a year is, well,
Yes,
try again.
exactly. Hopefully, the next one I'm just naturally good at.
Yeah,
Hopefully, I'm good at the
exactly.
pyromorphics or whatever that is.
Yeah, for real.
What? Oh, this is something else. What natural talents do you think are most uh, most involved in how fast someone can improve? Like, what talents do you think natural talents that aren't really like natural talents that some people have more of, some people have less of? Do you think have a big impact on improvement speed in cubing?
Um, Tolerance for repetition is the biggest one.
Mm,
Um,
okay.
which is a weird like thing to say, but
Yeah.
the biggest thing that gets you fast at cubing is literally solving the cube over and over again. No duh. But
Yeah.
the the single biggest factor to that is how many like are you going to do a lot of solves over and over again
Yeah.
and enjoy the process of doing the same thing over and over again. So
Yeah. That's a good point.
most cubers talk about motivation a lot. And when they say motivation, they mean the time is getting faster. I think you and I are the same in that we bear with repetitive solving because
Mm.
we like the time improving. And the time improving is more motivating than how frustrating it is to have to keep grinding out solves.
Yeah, I can agree.
The theoretically best cuber in the world is somebody whose favorite thing is the action of grinding out solves. And if they get fast, then that's great, but it doesn't matter.
Mm.
Because then,
Yeah.
when you and I are getting tired, they're just getting started. Because the thing that makes us tired is the grind, but the thing that
Yeah.
energizes them is the grind. And
Yeah.
even if the
Okay.
grind doesn't energize you, whoever has the highest tolerance for it, I think, is also like positioned well. There's
Yeah.
other things, obviously. There are massive areas of natural talent around turning speed that I do not understand. But I was talking to Dylan Miller some, and he was like, "Well, dude, I'm a little bit of turning doomer, but I don't think your turning has what it takes to get to X top X whatever." And I have to agree with him. There's a genetic ceiling there. Um,
Yeah.
and then another one is just I don't know if processing speed is the right thing to say because it's not that
Mhm.
you're doing complex stuff. You just have to be
Mm.
able to internalize the patterns and like be comfortable with stuff flying around. But the biggest
Yeah.
one is tolerance for high repetition, I think.
Yeah. That makes sense. Something that, yeah, something kind of along these lines that I think would be so cool is if cubing got to a point that there were like studies being done on cubers. Like, you know how, I don't know, running, like these sorts of sports have like lots of studies being done about how certain genetic things impact it, how certain, I don't know, supplements impact it, how different like types of people do at it. It would be so cool if there was big studies happening in cubing. Like we probably won't get to that point because I guess it is like a money thing. Um, but that would just be like awesome. And like, imagine you could just like pull up studies like about cubing and like what sorts of characteristics made people improve faster, whether
Mm-hmm.
like sleeping
Mm-hmm.
8 hours makes you faster in a comp, or whether like the night before doesn't really matter that much, but it's the week leading up, like these sorts of things. Like, that'd be cool.
Oh, that'd be so cool. I would love to see studies where they do MRIs of cubers' brains, which doesn't even need to be a study. This can just be the the cubers themselves like a one-time event. They've done this with
Yeah.
music players, of violinists, or of piano players, and there are
Yeah.
like specific wrinkles and areas of the brain that form or shape a certain way because of
Oh,
this
yeah,
skill.
yeah.
I'd love to know that with cubing. Um, Yeah, yeah.
when I was going to when we were like going to America for the World Champs this year, right? I was gonna be in like LA and like we were gonna be going a little bit around the West Coast with some of my family, and we were looking at like it would be so cool because the US probably has more opportunity if I was ever gonna get in like an MRI machine and like do a three blind solve and then do like a normal solve and like see how it compares or like anything like that. It would probably be in the US somehow. Um, we didn't get around to like actually looking into it, and it would probably have like, yeah, budget issues or something. But that, yeah, something that I've thought about and think would be very, very
It'd be
cool.
super
Getting a
cool.
Cuba in MRI.
Now I'm
Yeah.
curious. Now I'm curious. How was your trip to America? I saw you mention theme parks in the video. I'm a big theme park guy. I live in Southern
Yeah.
California, so I've been to the
Okay.
stuff
Yeah.
down here.
Yeah. We went to LA and we went to not Disneyland technically, but we went to like California Adventure Park, like next to it. Went on the Incredicoaster. That was a fun one. We also went to Knott's Berry Park.
Hmm.
That was fun. Lots of good rides there. And we also went to Universal. So that was fun. Before, like when we were booking the trip, I was like, I don't know. I've just been kind of worried about roller coasters and things. I
Hmm.
don't know how much you know, but in Australia, at least near where I live, we basically only have like roller coasters. Like it seems that when I went to Disneyland and stuff, there was more
Where do
like
you live in Australia?
rides.
Which park is it
I
that's
live
near you
in
again?
there's like Movie World,
Movie World. Okay.
Movie World, Dream World, Wet and
Hmm. Hmm.
Wild.
Yeah.
There's
So
like a
you,
whole
you you really
cluster
only
there.
have like fairly big stuff.
Yeah, like big roller coasters rather than like, I don't know, rides that go along and there's like animatronics and things. So I guess I've always been like scared of those sorts of things and like
Hmm.
not wanting to go on them for some reason. But then we went to California Adventure Park first and we went on Incredicoaster, which is like a kind of medium sized. And I was
Yeah.
like, hang on, I've been missing out here. I've been missing out. Like it was so fun. There's like the loop and everything. And then we went to Universal and I went on like some slightly bigger stuff. And then we went to Knott's Berry Farm, which if you've been there, there's some like big, awesome rides there. And I got to go on some of those, which was, yeah, really fun. And so now then I've come back home and I went to Movie World to like purely go on like the biggest
Yeah.
ride
You
there,
got to
the
get
big
on them. Did you do
Joker
DC
one.
Rivals backwards? That's one of like.
Not backwards, not backwards.
Okay.
I think it costs extra,
It
like 20
does,
bucks or
but
something.
it
Maybe it
does.
would be
But
worth it,
dude,
but
I am a huge roller coaster guy.
yeah.
I've been on 198 in 7 different
Whoa.
countries. I
Wowzers.
worked at
So you've done it
Universal
backwards?
Studios for a summer. I've never been to Australia, but if I go,
Oh, okay.
I gotta ride DC Rivals backwards, dude. It looks
Yeah.
so cool. Like the
I-
backwards just has to be insane.
yeah. I don't know if you know, do you know Toby Seifert
I
from
know of
Australia, the 3
him.
by
I know
3
who he is.
Yeah, he's like probably my best friend. And I went to Movie World with him and he hasn't really been on many like roller coasters before. And we like, as soon as we got in the gates, we went to the DC Rivals and on the way up, he was like, I am terrified. And
Yeah, yeah,
it was just so funny. I was like, I thought I'd be more okay with it, but then I was getting up there and being like, and then you go
yeah.
down and it's just like, it's so fun. It
That's
was, yeah,
awesome.
it was fun.
That's so
Something
awesome. Yeah, I
cool
love
that I
it.
was missing out on. I was missing out on my whole life.
Yeah,
Now I have the like when I'm talking to other people that are scared about it, like I was scared too, but now I realized that I was missing out,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is pretty funny.
Doesn't get nervous at the World Championship final, but does get nervous going on roller coasters. Love it.
I I used to like reason with myself. I'm not scared of like not scared of getting injured or scared of dying or anything. I was scared of the feeling of feeling like I was gonna die. But then now it's like I don't know. As long as I'm like strapped in nicely, then it's good fun.
Yep, exactly. Cool. Well, I got to get going in a second here, but
Sure.
any final questions?
Insightful conversation to end.
I have one last thing for you before we go,
Okay,
but I want to
sure.
make sure that you have the opportunity for anything else before we go.
I think that's all I had really. I got to ask you some of those questions about yeah, how cubing's gonna go and some of the brain scan stuff. So I think that's all I had really.
Sweet. Well,
Hit me.
end by asking everybody what aspect of cubing gives you the deepest joy.
Ooh, what aspect of cubing gives me the deepest joy? I mean, there's the obvious answer. That's the people. Like, just lots of fun, having fun with people at competitions and things. People that I wouldn't have met outside of cubing. I guess it's also just like fun to improve. Like, it's really rewarding and brings you a lot of joy to put in effort, put in like time and effort to try and achieve something, and then maybe you didn't achieve that specific thing, but at least you ended up further along the path. You ended up faster, ended up, I don't know, knowing another alg set. It feels very rewarding to put in effort, which,
Hmm.
yeah, I guess that's second to the people though, in terms of just, I've had so much fun with cubing people that I wouldn't have met outside at competitions, even just, yeah, going to theme parks with cubers just because they're good people. So, yeah, the people. Everyone probably
Cool.
said that.
No, there's a pretty good mix. I
Really?
mean, that's the most common
Okay,
answer,
that's good.
but
Yeah.
it's also frequent to hear people say stuff about the experiences they've gotten to have,
Oh,
and a
yeah.
few people have said the feeling of improvement, and one
Yeah.
person just said fast solves. I like fast solves, which that's totally fair. That's
That is
definitely
fair.
one of the highs we all chase.
I can get on board with that.